So Republicans just went on live TV and admitted that they want to invade Venezuela.
So right there, the economy, security, and politically speaking, we're going to be doing a favor to us, to our children, to our economy, to our oil companies, to be able to liberate, and to the Venezuelans, that they do want to be free.
Because of the oil. They just said the quiet part out loud, claiming that there is over $1 trillion of oil in Venezuela and they want to go get it. Saying that it is a gold mine and that they would have a field day by invading Venezuela to take over their oil rigs because for some reason the U.S. knows how to handle them better. They're literally trying to get rich by starting, you know what, AR. Yeah, and we've been saying this, but for this administration to continuously try to make it seem as if they're bombing boats from Venezuela because of drugs, when in all actuality, they're about to literally try to send our troops out because they want to fucking steal a nation's oil. Because that's what they do, pillage and fucking plunder. Don't believe me? Here's the video.
Venezuela, for those Americans who do not understand why we need to go in.
Why you want to kill people?
Basically for three reasons. You're in Fox business. Venezuela, for the American oil companies, will be a field day because it will be more than $1 trillion in economic activity. American companies can go in and fix all the oil pipe, the whole oil rigs, and everything that has to do with the Venezuelan petroleum company.
Did Venezuela ask you to do that? Aren't they a sovereign nation? We don't own Venezuela. So the fact that they just admitted to purposefully trying to start a you-know-what for the American oil companies to get rich on trillions of dollars, yeah, they all need to be the fuck dismissed immediately.
Hi everyone, welcome to yet another video. It's Ndagiro here. Thanks for clicking on this video. So it turns out that Venezuelans want America out of their business as usual. The American government is always in every other country's business than to fixing their issues that they actually have in America, because they are not even hiding it anymore, really, because we have a Republican that really came on, the platform that they actually use to push propaganda, and was talking about our children, our children, like our companies, companies, like they are the ones that know how to source oil in Venezuela. And because of that, Venezuelans are like, you know what? America, keep your hands to your freaking self. Like, take your filthy hands away from our country. You are the same people that were actually lying about the people on, the sea, that they were trying to come into America, and you actually use that excuse to take them down. I mean, I shared some videos of when the U.S. government was talking about, people are coming in America illegally, and they're coming in and bringing in drugs from Venezuela.
I know that extrajudicial killing is an American tradition, but I do feel like we should be making more noise about what's going on in Venezuela, and this is my contribution to that. The Trump administration is orchestrating a military buildup in Venezuela, and they have been bombing boats, allegedly killing fishermen, on the basis that these people are drug trafficking. Now, let me say this. Even if they are trafficking drugs, is the punishment for drug trafficking death? The death penalty, is that what we do to people who are trafficking drugs? If it's not in the United States, we shouldn't be doing that to people outside of the United States. Historically, we have not given the same rights to people that are not American citizens. And we've had a kind of one rule for me, another for thee foreign policy. But it's not too late to change course and to demand due process and transparency. It's like Americans do stuff like this, like our government does stuff like this in our name, and then people are like, why do other countries hate us? And meanwhile, we're killing fishermen, alleging that they're trafficking drug. Are we the police of the world that we can go to other people's countries and kill their citizens because we decided that they were committing a crime? So yeah, leave the Venezuelan people alone. Maybe leave them alone. Maybe mind your business. I don't know. I was just about to post this, but I wanted to add, imagine what the American response would be if a country like Venezuela or a country like China or any other country killed 10 American citizens because they were trafficking drugs, because they were drug dealers. To think about what the American response would be if 10 Americans were killed by another country, even if those Americans were committing crimes.
The thing that's really getting me about the Trump administration trying to foment this coup in Venezuela is that it's the laziest coup attempt of all time. Like, their heart's not even in it. Our lawmakers getting on TV and telling, like, the most unconvincing lies with no pushback, of course, from people like Dana Fax. Who are you to lecture Venezuela, or any other country for that matter, on shit? The U.S. has literally zero credibility to be lecturing any other country on democracy or human rights, which I think actually most of our lawmakers understand, and that is the reason why they're not bothering to do propaganda for this regime change war. Because in the past, our government kind of felt the need to convince us that we were doing something for a noble cause, but like, they don't even feel the need to convince us of that anymore. They're like, I know, we know we're full of shit, you know we're full of shit, let's just do the coup. Most Americans are against this, but of course, our thriving democracy doesn't seem to care what we think. And for the small percentage of ding-dongs who actually think this is going to benefit you, that are like, oh, this actually would benefit the U.S. because of the oil. Apparently, none of you ding-dong dennies have learned the lesson that when America plunders a country, the resources go to the top 1% and the corporations that are usually behind the coups, not to you, random guy in Florida. You think some of you would have learned that lesson, what with your oil bills and your electricity continuing to go up, but I know how we don't like putting 2 and 2 together here. By the way, Maggie, you think the migrant crisis is bad now? Wait till you see how it gets after you fully destabilize Venezuela. It's almost like constantly invading other countries causes there to be migrants. It's like none of you can get it through your head that most people actually don't want to leave their homes. You want to invade their country, steal their land, steal their resources, and then cry when migrants come out of it. With what credibility do you have to fucking lecture Venezuela? For years, Maduro has strangled democracy. You mean like our leaders? You mean like, was it not our president that did January 6th like 5 years ago because he didn't accept the democratic will of the people that his ass lost? We're all on the same page that no one believes this bullshit, right? Like, I'm pretty sure we are. Like, literally, it's time for the dictatorship to end. Weren't we just hosting the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia? We have no problem with dictatorships here. It just depends on whether or not they're serving our interests. Mike Pence crawling out of obscurity to be like, Nicolas Maduro has no legitimate claim to power. All the neocons coming out of the woodwork. What credibility does the United States of America have to say shit like this? For years, we have not only propped up dictatorships and helped them and continue to ally with them, empowered, paid for, and ran cover for the Israeli regime as they've committed genocide in Gaza over the last 2 years, and constantly defend their apartheid regime by pretending it's a democracy when it's not, but you know, we kind of pretend ours is a democracy too. Literally every American paying even this much attention knows that we have no legitimacy to say this. Literally. We love dictatorships when it suits us. We don't defend human rights. We've been defending the country committing genocide for years at the UN, blocking them from any accountability and actually sanctioning the people that were trying to hold them accountable. Get the fuck out of here. But then you think that you have the right, the US thinks that we have the right to go lecture Venezuela about human rights and democracy? Get the fuck out of here. My favorite part about this, though, is them being like, oh no, it's because of narco-terrorists. Don't you think if you were going to play that game and do that routine and pretend that this was about the Trump administration cracking down on narco-terrorism, that maybe it wasn't the wisest decision for Trump to just pardon the drug trafficking president of Honduras? I mean, you're not even trying. This incredibly lazy coup is about stealing resources from Venezuela, stealing their oil, and destabilizing their country, and installing a pro-capitalist Western puppet that will play ball with the US. Because like what we've done to Cuba, we've been strangling the economy of Venezuela for years, hoping that they would buckle. And because they didn't, now we're like, all right, let's just go do the coup. Let's just go do the coup. Most Democrats, by the way, being pretty silent about it, if not outright supporting it. But make no mistake about it, we do not have a right to invade Venezuela. We do not have a right to overthrow their government. And just bombing random boats off the coast with no due process is a war crime.
It is genuinely fascinating the kinds of things that like liberals and rules-based international order American empire adherents find to be beyond the pale. A lot of so-called experts and talking heads are freaking out right now because it came out that Pete Hegseth personally ordered a second strike on a boat off the coast of Venezuela, killing the survivors of the first strike that the United States authorized on that boat. They're like, oh my God, killing a downed opponent, this might rise to the level of war crimes or murder. And I'm like, yeah, It's also war crimes or murder to have targeted a random boat in another country's territorial waters at all. It's all war crimes all the way down. So the hubbub from liberals just sounds like noise because, yeah, welcome to the party. The US has been committing war crimes since international law was first established. The crux of the issue is liberals don't actually have a problem with death, destruction, terrorism, or war crimes. They really don't, because they don't speak up about it when their presidents do it. They care about the presentation of it, and so long as image-based politics are at the forefront of their concern, liberals can never be an effective opposition to a fascist, lawless government. Because you don't really care if the war crimes happen, you just care that they look nice.
How do you even know that they're actually bringing drugs to America? But that was justified, and those people were actually attacked. So now they're like, actually, because of the oil that Venezuela has, they don't know how to handle that. They don't know how to handle their freaking resources. I mean, they like to use that excuse of we are going to go and help them out, understand and know how to handle their resources. This is a tactic that a lot of these Western governments always use, like these people didn't know how to handle their things, so we had to come in and help them, which is ironic to me, because what do you mean? You find people in their own country with their own resources, and your first thought is, oh, they don't know how to handle that. I need to be available and involved for them to know how to sort and handle their own resources in their own countries. I mean, it's the same thing when it came to the African continent, also going back to history, right? When these Europeans or white people came into African nations and stole, rooted, and literally did the most to our ancestors. I mean, we look at the British Museum, it is full of artifacts from Asia, from Africa, from the Caribbean, took them to their museums, and now when people call them out, they're like, oh, those people didn't know how to handle their things that they actually had. You mean, let's say Africans had their art pieces that they were actually, making, but you found them making those things, and in your mind, you're like, oh, they don't know how to handle this. I need to take them to Europe for them to be kept well. Are you joking me? Are you joking me? You mean to say that all the things that we actually had in the continent don't exist anymore because we are these reckless beings that don't know how to handle or protect our own things? Make it make sense. I love the energy that people from Venezuela are actually pushing. Like, the US should really mind its business and keep its hands to itself. Because how audacious could you be to come out and talk about our companies, our children need to get into that $1 billion kind of business when you're actually going to be stealing from people, and you're talking about, oh, we need to go and keep them safe. Safe from who? Safe from who? You are the literal problem as the US going to invade every other nation. And when we come out and call them out, then white people are like, oh my God, these people are ungrateful. They don't, appreciate the things we did actually for them. What did you do for anybody? Even today, you're still rooting and stealing, and these guys didn't get us help. What do you mean by your companies are the ones that know how to go and source things in other people's countries? Source resources from other people's countries. Don't you have your own countries to look into and see if you have resources actually that were given to you by whoever that put you in that place, which also other people are saying is not even your place, is not your home, especially when it comes to America? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I love how the US is getting exposed every single day. I mean, their propaganda is no longer working. Like I say all the time, people are really waking up to reality that the propaganda has always been lies, and the US has nothing without invading other nations. It has nothing without sourcing and stealing from other nations. It can literally not stand, like most Western nations cannot stand without taking and stealing from other people's countries. Literally, I mean, we see how France is collapsing just by mere West African countries kicking it out. It is been collapsing since they have a lot of older people. They don't have any more access into the resources of West African countries. They are constantly in debt. They are in a mess. So I would say and predict that the US is kind of heading in that direction, though it's trying and doing its outermost to push itself into, countries by force now and openly, because they are not even afraid to say that, hey, we know you have the resources, but we own them as, the West. We own them, and we are the ones that are allowed to come and source them, because you, the owners of those things, you don't know how to handle those things. In fact, we should source them and develop our countries in the West. You need to stay there and wait for us to, kind of think about you so you can get any little bit of benefit. But it has never happened with the US, and it's just wild to me. You attack nations and invade them and, say all the shitty propaganda about them. and still come out to claim that you're going to fight for them, just like this woman was saying, oh, people in Venezuela need to be saved and protected from who? From what? From their oil? Guys, this is ridiculous. This is freaking ridiculous. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think about this. I love the energy people are giving and the exposure that is really being shown to the world that the US is literally nothing, apparently. Nothing, just propaganda. Just propaganda. Guys, that is it for me today's video. Thanks for watching. I will see you in another video. Bye.